Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Melissa, and today I'm going to be chatting with you about the Sultry palette, and I'll be doing a live demo of one of my favorite eye looks from this palette. So if you want to go from this to this video is for you. So this is going to be in somewhat of a chatty get ready with me style, and I'll interject commentary about the palette as I'm using it, but I'm going to start off with some face products. And the first thing I'm going to apply is not that. The first thing I'm going to apply is this primer. It's from Volition Beauty. It's the Prismatic Illuminating Shield with an SPF of 50. I talked about this in a recent Game Changers video, the end of last year. It's a great little primer. It adds some luminosity as well as this terrific sunscreen. The foundation I'm going to be using today does not have sunscreen in it, and I want to make sure I have that on my face, which is why I chose this primer. I also like that it adds a little luminosity without being like over the top. So for my foundation today, I'm going to be using the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Stick Foundation, something like that. This is in my Project Pan Declutter Lucky Bag, my first one that I kicked it off with, and I've been playing around with it. The shade I have is Ivory. So I love the way the convenience factor of this foundation. I think the risk here is not to apply too much because it can get a little cakey on me and really emphasize every little line and wrinkle. So I have to be really careful not to put too much on my face. Oh, and look, I'm wearing my little bee earrings that we talked about at the end of the last video with Kate. I like to use a beauty blender with this, and I kind of, instead of patting, I'm rubbing. And I feel like that gives me the best finish. It doesn't look too heavy. Otherwise, I really do feel like this foundation can come off a little heavy on me. By applying it that way, you do sacrifice a little bit of coverage, but I'm okay with that. I'm not looking for flawless coverage. I'm looking for like a blurred coverage. And I did avoid my under eyes because this does not look pretty under there for me. To prime my eyes today, I'm going to use the Bobbi Brown Long Wear Cream Shadow in the shade Shore. I've been using this a lot lately. I think it does a great job masking discoloration on my eye and giving a nice base, a nice long wear base for my shadows. So today's look is going to be kind of a bronzy look. And you're going to go, well, aren't they all going to be a bronzy look? Well, yeah, kind of. So this palette was released in the fall of 2018, and it was one of the first cool tone palettes that had been released in a really long time. We've really been in this like Naked Heat, Naked Cherry, warm tone palette situation for at least a year, if not longer. I don't care for warm tones on me. They just don't look good. So I've been patiently waiting for someone to bring out a palette that wasn't so warm tone, and I was pretty darn excited about this one. So there are 14 shadows in here, and they are equally divided between shimmer shades and matte shades. There's not a loser in the bunch, including the elephant in the room, Bloom. We're going to talk a bit about Bloom today, and I'm going to show you how I like to use it. So I'm going to start off this look with the shade Birch, and I'm going to use that in my crease, lightly building it up to the intensity I like. This is probably one of the warmest shades in this palette, and it's not really that warm, but it does read a little bit warm. Initially when I looked at it, I was like, but I like it. So I just have it on the tip of this fluffy brush, and I'm just gonna sweep it into my crease. So I think Birch also works as a great one shadow look. It really is quite beautiful, but I also like Twig, that's this one, and Slate. These three are great matte one shadow looks. Just put them all over the lid, blend them up into the crease, and you're ready to go. I love that. I also really like Slate blended with Bloom. So let me show you. The colors were Birch, Twig, and Slate, but I love these two blended together. So this is Slate and Bloom blended together. I love the color that it turns it into. Slate is great this way, but if you're looking for something a little bit different, this is awesome too. So for my lid shade today, I'm going to be using Ember. It is a metallic, like bronzed khaki. That's what they're calling it on the website. I would totally agree with that. I think that description's 100% accurate. And I'm going to put that on my lid. Now, as we start talking about some of these metallic, shimmery, I wouldn't quite call them glittery shades, I want to address the whole issue of fallout. I think you can get fallout with any palette, and this is not an exception. I think if you use the wrong kind of brush, if you're too fluffing it on, you're gonna get fallout. And I have had some fallout. Sometimes when I'm using these metallic shades, I will put a tissue under my eye to really capture any kind of fallout. I think today I'm gonna use my finger to apply it because that is usually a really good fail-safe method for applying a metallic or glittery shade that's gonna prevent the most fallout from happening. So I'm just going to take some, oh, isn't that pretty? I'm going to just take some of that and I'm going to put it all over, all but like the inner corner. The inner corner I'm going to hit with a little brighter color and mostly focusing on the center of my eyelid because I am going to deepen the outer corner a little bit as well. I also think some of these metallic shades make some great one shadow looks. The three metallics that I like best for an all over one shadow look are Ember, Cinder, oops, I said that backwards, Cinder, and Teak. I think those three make great one shadow looks. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick little swatcheroo of those. So it's Ember, Teak, and Cinder. Ember, Teak, and Cinder. And you're probably thinking, really? A metallic one shadow look? Yes, it is really, these perform so beautifully that they are, you know, have a little shine to them, but they're not like overly glittery and they really show up beautifully on the eye without being like overdone. Those three shades, they're perfect because they're like that mid-tone shade that's going to work beautifully on the lid and blend it up gently into the eye. Into the crease. So to finish off the lid in this look, I'm going to go into Steampunk, which is a metallic topaz bronze. I think it's kind of goldish looking. To apply that, I'm going to use a very like small brush because I'm going to just apply this on the inner corner. And I'm pressing it in and applying it, just dragging it just very gently. You don't want to create too much scrubbing back and forth. That's going to create more fallout. And I am tapping that brush off pretty heavily. And I like this because it just brightens the inner corner of my eye. My eyes are pretty heavily hooded and I can't do that like inner corner highlight thing. Yeah, it doesn't work for me at all. So this is kind of my little hooded eye cheat for bringing some brightness to the lid. So next I'm going to go into Dystopian, which is this cool matte brown. It is like the perfect brown. I'm so grateful for that brown. It is definitely one of the workhorses of this palette, and I'm going to deepen the outer corner of my eye and just tap a little color a little bit up into the crease. And I'm going to take a smaller, like fluffy brush and do a little blending very gently. The next step, I'm going to go in with a smaller brush into the color Flesh, which is just your basic, like creamy ivory color, and just go up under my brow a little bit. Now, if you were wanting to like give a little extra lift to your brow, or you were going out in the evening, I would go ahead into Pearl, which is right next to Flesh. This, if you're able to do an inner corner highlight, I think this is a great option, but I'm just going to hit a little bit on the very tip of my brush here and bring it really close up to my brow. I think it gives it just a little bit of extra lift. And I really like that. I really, Pearl is great when you're doing like a one shadow, like matte look or an all matte look, and you just want to like brighten the eye up a little bit. You can do a soft sweep of that with like a fluffier brush, and just a light dusting of that brightness can be really pretty under the brow. I have not wiped my face at all. There is zero fallout here. So for people who say, oh, they're too powdery, yeah, they can be if you apply them vigorously with a lot of scrubbing motion or a really big fluffy brush, or you don't tap it off well enough. Any eyeshadow is going to give you fallout if you approach it that way. You have to be a little bit more gentle. So under my eyes, I'm going to use this from Tatcha. It says Underlight and Eye Treatment. It's like a combo of like an eye cream with a little bit of pigment in it. I'm really not sure how I feel about this. So, and I'm going to use a little concealer brush. I have really been struggling with under eye concealers. Things that have worked for me in the past, like, aren't really working for me right now. So I'm going with the less is more, not terrible today. All right, now I'm going to finish up my eyes, and I'm going to bring that Dystopian under the outer corner along my lower lash line. I'm going to use a little smudger brush and just tap it into Dystopian. I don't want it too heavy. And I don't want to go too far under my eye. I just am not favoring that look, like a big heavy smudge under my eye. I feel like it's not flattering for me at all. All right, so I do see a few little spots of rogue glitter. So I'm going to take a little bit of tape and pick them up. Yeah. Not too bad, just a few little rogue pieces. Now, I also use Dystopian as like a liner sometimes, or use Noir as a liner. Should I do that today? And I'm just gonna go do a little tight lining on the outer corner, not the whole lid. I have to get closer. You guys, it's hard getting old. So now I'm just going to finish up my face. I'm going to use the Laura Geller Baked Bronze and Brighten in the shade Fair. I bought this by mistake, but actually I kind of like it. So I'm just going to fluff it onto my cheek here. And then I'm going to go into this Makeup Forever blush shade, which I should write the color under here because I always have to look it up. And I think it's like rosewood or something. I'm just going to do a little light sweep here. I'm going to reach for my favorite highlighter from Laura Mercier, Matte Radiance Baked Powder in the color Highlight. It is one of my favorites. I could live with just this little highlight in my life. I think it's so sophisticated. If you're in your 50s or you're in business and you don't want to have like a blinding highlighter. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of powder in my T-zone. I'm going to use this tone correcting powder from e.l.f. Another one from my Makeup Declutter. I really am a fan of this powder. I especially like to put it under here to add a little more definition. Yeah, I'm not a baker. I'm not one of those people. So I finished off with a coat of my favorite mascara, the L'Oreal Voluminous Butterfly Mascara in the waterproof version. I talk about this a lot. It is my holy grail at the moment. And on my cheeks, I went in with a Bite lip liner in the shade 042. So this is the finished look. So some of my other favorite combos using a metallic shade on the lid and a matte shade in the crease are Cinder and Twig, Cyborg and Slate. These are fabulous. They just have the slightest little like purpley undertone in them that just make them so wearable. And I also love Rose Quartz and Dystopian. You can do an awesome smoky eye using just Dystopian on the lid, blend it up into the crease, and then just take a little bit of Bloom and brighten that crease. It's awesome. So I also wanted to show you how you can use Bloom to like brighten the look up once you're done and you think, this is great, but it could be like brightened up a little bit. And Bloom is such a great shade. It's a great shade mixed with other colors to give them a slightly different tone. It's great to lay down first as like your transition shade and then blend other colors on top of it, or to just brighten a look that you think, you know, maybe you could use a little brightness. So when you do this, you really have to go very lightly and build it up. I have a little fluffy brush and I'm just going to work it into the crease oh so lightly. And I did not do this eye, I just did this eye. So you could see how it changes it, just that teeny tiny little bit. Needless to say, I'm in love with this palette, and if you have any color combos that you would recommend to the group, you should include it below because we want to share this wealth of knowledge that is this entire community. So I publish videos every Saturday morning, and if you missed last week's video, I'll include a link to it up here. If you're new to my channel, just stopping by the first time, go ahead and hit this little bee icon down here and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Bye.